You built a business people love, but behind the scenes, it's all on you. Vision to Grow is your space to lead with clarity, hire with purpose, and finally breathe again. I'm Chrissy, your no-fluff leadership expert, here to help you hire better and lead teams with less mess. Hello and welcome back to Vision to Grow, or if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I'm Chrissy, your no BS integrator and recruitment nerd from Grow Advantage, where we turn business chaos into clarity and scale. And today, we need to talk about something that is holding your hiring back badly. Your job advert. It is a total misfire, and here is why. So I want to clear something up. I talk about this all the time, but there's something I really want to clear up. It's a job description is not a job advert, and it is definitely not a job post. These are really different, but you'd be surprised by how many clients come to me wondering why they're not getting the right applicants and then hand me a 4-page job advert that reads like a corporate snooze fest. So there's some key difference when it comes to job adverts, job descriptions, and job posts. But essentially what I want to talk about in this podcast episode today is what is really important when it comes to a job advert in terms of attraction. So I think we place a lot of importance on the job advert as the most important thing, and it is really important. Your job adverts need to be really attractive. But we're going to talk about some fundamentals of all the other tools and how you can use them. And I want to start off with talking about the key differences. So the key differences with a job description. So I always talk about role design. You've heard me talk on the podcast previously about role design. But if we start with role design, a job description comes soon after that, right? It's a real key document. So a job description is essentially an internal HR document. It covers off responsibilities, qualifications, who the person applying to this role is going to talk to, what a typical day looks like, the official bits of pieces that help with contracts and performance letters. It is a foundational tool. Yes, it still needs to sound attractive, but it's not a sales tool as such. This is where your detailed documentation comes in, right? So I worked in big corporates. The job descriptions are long because they explain to the individual, what context they fit into the company, like what team, who they report to, what they're going to be doing, what skills they need to bring to the table. It's actually really detailed. And I'll talk a little bit more about what a job description does later on when a person's embedded in your business. Now, a job advert, this is a sales tool. So this is where a lot of people miss the mark. Your job advert is marketing, right? You are marketing the role. It is marketing the role and it is selling the opportunity. So it should absolutely not be a dump of lists and tasks to hope someone bites. There's a few things that a highly effective job advert needs. So it needs a really clear, specific title, not anything that says rockstar admin or unicorn. It doesn't mean anything. Call the job exactly what it is. If it's a virtual assistant with digital marketing experience, that's it. If it's an operations manager for an events business, keep it simple. If you're thinking that you're scrolling a job board as an applicant, you're going to be searching keywords to find out jobs that apply to you. If your job doesn't make sense, it can't be categorized and nobody's going to find it. So the job title needs to be really clear and specific. Now, after your job title, you need some killer hooks. So I want you, because it's marketing and because you're talking to your ideal person, you want to start talking directly to the reader of that job advert. So the hooks would be what is going to entice your dream person to apply. And you're a small business, right? You're likely a smaller business owner if you're listening to this podcast. So it's not potentially like the massive development or the exposure of a big corporate, but you can be a little bit more heart-centered in your hook. You could offer things like flexibility. They can, work from anywhere. If you're an online business, they could be some really big hooks. So quite often if flexibility, working highly flexible hours is one of the benefits of the role, I'll have that directly as a hook at the top. Another hook should talk about logistics to some extent. So if the role is location based, i.e. it's in Brisbane, it's in Perth, it's in Sydney, it's in a specific office location, put that, because that will make sure the right people are applying to it. And then you can also talk about rates if that's really important, but you want your job title, and then you want a couple of key points that are going to basically be like a subheader that is going to encourage your ideal person to apply. I typically do 2 hooks, or you can do 3. So it could be like highly flexible role where you get full creative reign. I'm based in Sydney, 10 hours a week, highly flexible. We said flexible before, on the point before. And then it can talk really idealistically to the sort of person that you want to apply. So you're the kind of person who loves keeping chaos in check and running the show behind the scenes, like something fun, but engaging, warm, where they read on. The next bit I want you to talk about is a little bit of an overview of your business. Don't write an essay here. This is for their benefit, not for you to tell them your whole business journey. It's what is your mission, what is their values, and why should they care? Because it's exactly when you're trying to do attraction marketing for a client, this is the same thing. When you're talking about your business, yes, you're talking about your business and you're giving context, but you need to talk about what is in it for your applicant. Make them feel something, talk about vision and values, something that they're going to care about. Then, of course, you need to have a section in your job advert that talks a little bit about what they'll be doing. Don't put boring stuff in this. I'll give the example of like a cleaning job advert, right? If you're a house cleaner, you may scrub a toilet. Don't put that in your job advert. Like, people know that's a part of the job, but it's not advertising it. Right? Like cleaning bathrooms, scrubbing kitchens. We don't want to go that linear. It's the same as you don't want to be manage inbox, attend meetings. It's vague. It doesn't really mean anything. It's more along the lines of you will own client communication and keep projects moving like clockwork. It's more attractive. I'll say attractive a lot throughout this podcast episode.
Quick question. Are you still the one fixing team mistakes, rewriting client emails, or approving Canva drafts at 10 p.m.? If you've built the business and hired the team, but still feel like the glue holding everything together, then it's time for a real shift. Leadership Essentials is a 1-day in-person workshop designed to get you out of the weeds and back into your CEO seat with clarity, confidence, and a team that moves with you. It's happening in Perth on Friday, the 12th of September, and Sydney on Wednesday, the 24th of September. You'll walk away with practical tools to lead better, reclaim your time, and build the business you actually want to run. There are only 15 seats per city, and pricing is discounted for a few more weeks before it jumps up to full price. And this event will sell out. DM me the word leader on Instagram and I'll send you the link, or just scroll down. The link is in the show notes. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, go do that now. Your next level leadership starts here.
Then when we're talking about attributes or skills I bring to the table, that'll be in another section. And these sentences should start with you. So you will be the go-to for X, Y, and Z. You will thrive in fast-paced environments. You will work closely with the operations manager and the customer service manager. It's highly aspirational. So what you want that reader of that job advert to think, heck yes, that's exactly who I want to be. They need to see themselves in your job advert. Then at the end of the job advert, it needs to really clearly explain how they're gonna apply. So I think it's pretty unreasonable in this day and age to get someone to do a cover letter, answer application questions, do a video, and submit their resume and submit their portfolio. Pick 2 things. It's going to be like resume and cover letter, or portfolio and application questions, depending on the role. Yes, give them a little bit of task to do, but nobody's getting paid to apply to a job. So make the barrier to entry reasonably easy. And then it is your job to put the time in the screening process afterwards. Now, I just want to dial it a little bit back on the job advert and talk about the purpose of a job advert. So your purpose of a job advert is to inform of a vacancy and then attract people to apply for it. So the purpose of your job advert is an advert like anything else, like a Diet Coke commercial. It's to explain that you have a vacancy and how to apply for it. It's information and it's advertising, right? That's your job advert. Now, with the application process, I touched on this, but cover letters, I'm not a massive fan of. It's not 2002. Don't just say send your CV. I'm a big fan of the application questions. So you could ask 2 or 3 questions that require the individual's own experience. And ideally something that is pulled from their own experience, not generic, like what is your greatest strength? So this is where you're using something like a behavioral based question, a situational question. An example of this would be, tell us about a time you've managed a client's calendar under pressure. It could be, what systems are you fluent in and how have you used them in your current or previous role? The reason these are great questions is because it gives you insight quickly. And it also shows whether they follow instructions by following the application process properly. Tell them what happens next. So what's the process in the job advert? So we've sort of given you an outline for your job advert. We've explained the process of it. We've talked through the apply process. So far we've covered off job descriptions, more of your detailed document. I highly, highly recommend writing job descriptions for every role in your business. And that way, that is all of the detail and more serious. And then you take that job description and the content from that and make that into a really fun advert. I have an amazing framework for this. This is what I use for all my clients and it works for us every time. I'm not saying you can't use ChatGPT or AI. Of course you can, but if you don't give it the right prompts, ChatGPT, it's going to write you terrible job adverts. They're not going to be attractive. They're going to be very corporate and very boring. So I've given you some amazing hacks in this episode that you could use. You could use in AI. Now, the next thing that I recommend, in addition to your job advert or depending on your business, I always recommend, yes, have a job advert, funnel people to the job advert. You could have a job advert or an application process on your website, or if you're using a job board, fantastic, but also leverage things like social media, Facebook groups, LinkedIn posts, not talking necessarily about LinkedIn adverts, but leverage all of that to channel more applicants to your job advert. Now, a job post needs to be short, sweet, and snappy. And the purpose of your job post is to get them to click onto the job advert and read more of the details, right? So if you think really hooky Instagram captions, Facebook groups, TikToks do amazing. There's a whole, I think it's employee generated content. So I forget the acronym, but employee generated content. It used to be user generated content, but that is going off on TikTok. We'll do a whole nother episode on that. And I will get a TikTok person on to talk about it. I'm not so much on TikTok. I've dabbled, but let's maybe then focus more on Instagram and Facebook groups. We want a real scroll stopper. So no fluff. So it needs to be exactly who it's talking to. So we are hiring Melbourne-based office manager, 4 days a week, highly flexible, or looking for a marketing savvy VA who lives in Airtable and thrives on deadlines. A few juicy points and then get them to click on the link. So it should be enticing enough that if they are the person you describe, they're going to click. Remember, absolutely no unicorns, no corporate waffle, and definitely no big long essays. Nobody's got time for that stuff. So job descriptions, job adverts, job posts. Now, let's dial it back. Before you write anything, you need to design the role. So we don't want to be reactive. We don't want to hire for the panic. We want to think about, where does this role sit long term? What does success look like in this position? And will this role scale with my business? And listen to the language I'm using. I'm saying position, I'm saying role, I'm not saying individual. We're creating positions in our business. We're having job descriptions that align to it, and then we're putting people into those positions. So we get the job description done first, make it really solid, make it thorough, and then you build your advert from that. So key takeaways and key things that we talked about in this episode. Job descriptions are for clarity. Job adverts are for attraction, and job posts are to boost visibility. We start with structure and then we market the hell out of your role. We need to stop outsourcing the soul of your hiring to ChatGPT. Absolutely use it, but use it with a strategy. I've given you an amazing one today. If you've got any questions on job adverts, creating positions in your business, I absolutely froth this stuff. But as a first step, you've listened to this podcast, but I share so much of this content on both Instagram and LinkedIn. Both of those things will be in my show notes. And then if you're really, really serious about scaling your business and creating amazing roles and organizational structures, I highly recommend you jump on a clarity call with me, where me and my team can support you. That we have different options at different budgets. But I love talking to people who've invested enough of their time into listening to the podcast, who then want to come and work with me. Because look, although you might have started your business to just be your own boss, if you're really serious about scaling, you want to have an amazing team. And that starts with incredible hiring processes. So I've absolutely loved talking to you about job adverts today. This was a short, snappy one. But again, if you are drowning in hiring chaos and your job adverts sound like every other beige business on LinkedIn, we absolutely need to talk. Make sure you are following me. You are subscribed to Vision to Grow podcast. And remember, I'm Chrissy at Grow Advantage. I help visionaries like you get the roles designed, the systems built, and hiring dialed in without turning your business into an absolute snooze fest. I know you might not love operations, and that's fine because I do. I hope you have loved learning a little bit more about job adverts. I'm Chrissy, and I will see you, or you'll hear me, next time on Vision to Grow.
Audience exclusive.